And welcome back to Mining Stock Daily. As promised, we have a corporate update with Brixton Metals today. Happy to be once again welcoming in CEO Gary Thompson. Brixton Metals trades on the TSX Venture with the symbol BBB and also on the OTCQB with BBBXF. Gary, we are following up from the latest news that Brixton published last week, I believe it was, and the definitive signing of the $44.5 million earn-in agreement for the Hog Heaven project in collaboration with High Power Exploration, otherwise known as HPX, which is led by Chairman and CEO Mr. Robert Friedland. Big name there. Gary, congratulations, and really give us kind of the lay of the land of what this joint venture means, for Brixton, but also for the project in general.
Sure, we'll do. Well, thanks, Trevor, and good to be on here for an update. Yeah, I mean, we're pretty excited about this opportunity. If you look at the value of this transaction, it's basically around the market cap of the company, which is phenomenal in itself, I think. So, the important thing is that this is a real asset that just needs a focused attention and a serious amount of capital. So, we're excited to have a world-class team like HPX come in here and really get at this thing. And, the plan for those guys, from what I understand, is to get in there with their proprietary deep-seeing Typhoon geophysical survey, which is basically a juiced-up IP survey that can see quite deep. And we're excited to see what comes out of that, and that's going to really point them into the phase of drilling, which the scope and scale which this project has never seen. And so we're all excited to see what they can pull out of this thing, and it's really a focus on battery metals, if you will. I think that's the real driver here: copper and silver and gold. I mean, we believe that we're seeing pretty high grade silver and gold and some copper in the upper part of the system of this deposit, and we believe that based on what we're seeing, is that the copper and gold grades tend to improve as we go down into the system, and it's really probably a porphyry copper gold system that's driving this thing, which is high sulfidation indication at surface. We see multiple styles of mineralization. So, we'll see. I mean, I guess the hope would be that they're in there drilling sometime later in 2021. That would be great.
So this Typhoon geophysical surveying technology, it is pretty remarkable what they've been able to see, some of the data from these tools. Will they be sharing that information with you before they share it with the market, Gary?
Well, yeah, we're working in partnership with HPX on this, so we're definitely going to be in the data as it comes about. We're excited to see that, and we did some airborne geophysics as well a few years ago now, and it looked pretty compelling as well, highlighting areas that we were drilling and some of the previous workings. So it just hasn't seen the exploration budgets for many years.
Is this kind of just a small part of a larger exploration kind of strategy for HPX? Mr. Friedland's obviously known throughout the world of going into some of the, I guess you say, unfavorable parts of the world and jurisdictions, obviously having great success with Ivanhoe in the Congo. But coming back to the United States and looking for deposits, seems a little bit unlike him, actually.
Well, no, I would say I don't think so. And what I've been able to read into how they work is that they go where the opportunities are, and I think they end up in those places because that's where the opportunities are, and they're not so concerned about geopolitical boundaries. That they have a solid team that can work with locals and build that confidence and trust and partnership with them. If you look at what they're doing in the DRC, you don't see too many other companies accelerating like they have been in places where a lot of people don't want to go. So they just end up going there because that's where the opportunity is, I think, more than not.
Well, it's also a place we haven't seen quite a development project in the copper space quite like that project in the Congo as well is pretty
Yeah, it's
remarkable.
pretty remarkable and phenomenal grade, and it's really world class for sure. And I think the interest in the U.S. projects. I know HPX has other assets that are advancing and developing in the U.S. as well. So my take on it is that they're looking to build a U.S. Based platform, a mining company that will provide these stable projects in. And especially if you look at what's happening in the EV world, and I guess we'll call it the electrification movement. Silver has the highest electrical conductivity of any metal. So silver is going to be important. If you look at the projections for the demand for metals in this electrification movement, the copper and silver, basically all battery metals are going to be. We basically don't have enough of those metals, so it's really we need to get at these things quicker than you might think. It's a bit of a rush to get these projects to the development stage.
Can you break down kind of the structure of this JV earn-in agreement between Brixton and HPX? It looks like there's a couple stages here with the monetary value to be paid on each stage.
Sure, that's correct. It's a two-stage 11-year earn-in option. So stage one provides for $4.5 million. These are all U.S. dollars. $4.5 million to Brixton over 6 years, and HPX shall spend $15 million U.S. to get 51% of the project. They can elect to go to stage two by spending an additional $25 million U.S. Would give them a total of 75% interest. And then they will fund from that stage, assuming that they're going forward, they will fund to a construction decision. And it's not a free carry for Brixton, but it's a carry by HPX, and there's reimbursement of those costs plus interest at that stage to maintain our level of interest. And we could JV them on a mine development for 25%, 75 pro rata. And if we elect not to go down that path, then there's a dilution factor ultimately down to a couple of percent royalty.
Other than kind of the monetary value that is positive for Brixton, I mean, what is bringing in a JV partner for Hog Heaven? How does that help the company kind of open up and work in these other projects in your portfolio?
Well, look at the amount of capital to take this project to the development stage. You're probably talking, $100 million is my just round number guess. So for Brixton to issue $100 million for stock to do that is massively dilutive. So we're taking a lower position in the project, but not having to spend that capital, and it really frees up not only that part of the operation, but from a human resources perspective. As you know, Brixton has other projects like Langus that we're drilling right now in Ontario, and we're, in the next month or so, we're going to be gearing up to get back to Thorn up in BC, and then we have another project called Atlan. So we've got more than enough on our plate. And the whole strategy for Brixton was to acquire these assets at a reasonably low cost, and then look to monetize them in a rising market, which is what we're doing now. I think we're demonstrating to shareholders that these assets that we're getting have some real value, and now we're starting to see that, starting to bear some fruit from our labors in the bottom of the market.
All right, so you mentioned your other projects are really I know you're looking forward to getting back up to the Golden Triangle onto the Thorn project. Not quite there yet, as still winter up there, hard to access. But Langus is obviously accessible year round. Drilling is underway. What's the latest from Langus, and when might we see the next round of drill results?
Yeah, we've been busy, with the drill out there. They're drilling super fast. They're basically drilling a hole a day. And we've been, I think we're going to be pushing 17,000 meters or something this fall-winter program. So we are working on a release to get out on Langus. We're a little bit behind on that, but we're going to have several news releases between now and the spring out there. So it's one of those projects you can't get enough drilling in the ground, and we may need to ramp up our activities on this project. Or bring in a partner or try and monetize it somehow. I think, if we look at the scale and scope of the opportunities that we have, I think the big drivers for Brixton this year is going to be either what comes out of Hog Heaven from HPX, the work they're doing, could be great for us, and also the budget we have planned for Thorn this year is will probably be the biggest budget the project's ever seen. We're talking in that sort of $5 to $10 million range. So that's, I think those two opportunities can generate the biggest, I guess we'll say, could be potentially transformative for the company. Not to discredit Langus, because this is a great little high grade asset, but it's smaller scale. We see the potential of Langus for high grade, high margin, small scale production there. It's produced 10 million ounces historically at 25 ounce per ton. So we look at it like, well, it's reasonably safe to assume that you could probably get another 10 million at those sorts of numbers. But is it 100? Is it 200 million? That's a stretch for Langus at this stage right now. But not to say that it couldn't be much bigger. But so when you trade off these projects and the scale of the opportunities, right? You've got to sort of juggle that, juggle those opportunities, and I think they're all good. They all have their own flavor to them, just maybe a different scale and scope, but also equally attractive in their own right.
All right, Gary. Well, appreciate your time here today. I know you are attending the virtual PDAC, and there's a lot of questions here, specifically as we continue to see some of this base metal rotation that's coming in from the I guess what was precious metals bid, but all good things, and best of luck this week. We look forward to catching up with you later this month, perhaps.
Very good. Well, enjoy this show, Trevor, and I appreciate the update, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, that's Gary Thompson from Brixton Metals. They trade on the TSX Venture with BBB and also on the OTCQB with BBBXF. The information presented should not be considered investment advice. Mining Stock Daily and its affiliates are not responsible for any loss arising from any investment decision in connection with the material presented herein. Please do your own research or speak with a licensed financial representative before making any investment decision.